Okay guys, this is that extra practice at the bottom. So the first few are pretty easy. I wrote out everything, but I wanted to point out a couple things that I thought was a little worth spending a second talking about. So on down here at 53. So 53, still the opposite of adding, is this subtracting conjugate. But when you multiply, you're going to have a lot of things kind of simplify. So a radical 5 times a radical 5 is just the constant 5. But then when you multiply a radical 5 times this negative, because they're both radicals, you can do 5 times 3 is radical 15. And then 3 times 5 is a positive radical 15. And then radical 3 times radical 3 is 3, but it was a negative times a positive. But then it makes these two pieces cancel, which is great. So if I can do this without losing everything. So then just 5 minus 3 is 2, but then you have at the top as you distribute, so 6 times radical 5, 6 radical 5, 6 times radical 3, 6 radical 3. And you cannot, because they're not the same. So it's kind of like not having the same base. You can't combine a radical 5 with a radical 3. So the top actually is more complicated than the bottom. And then that same thing happens for 54. So you're going to have a negative, and the conjugate would be a positive, or adding. And then you're going to be able to cancel the radical 21, because one of them is positive and one of them is negative. And then it leaves across the bottom just 7 minus 3, which is 4. So again, the denominator ends up being a lot easier. Who would have thought that? And then as you distribute the 11 times 7 and 11 times 3, that is, you can't combine those because one is a radical. So then you're going to end up with 11 radical 7, 11 radical 3, and they can't combine. So that's as far as you can take that. Reach out if you have any questions.